Trigger warning: pedophilia, MAPS, self-harm, bipolar disorder, suicide, homophobia/transphobia, and discussion of XA, not graphic, just talking about the concept. Greetings, everyone. My name is Sarah Truly. I am 22 years old. And last night, I posted the MAP flag to my Tumblr and YouTube. First and foremost, I would like to say that I have never sexually assaulted a minor. I have never groomed a minor. I have never discussed sexual topics with a minor I was sexually attracted to or done anything inappropriate with a minor. I have never sought out and watched/viewed CP. I have no plans to do anything stated above in the future, nor do I have any desire to do so. With that said, I will now address what I posted last night. My post and video caused a lot of confusion. I knew I wasn't in the headspace to interact with any of the comments, so I remained silent and just updated the description of the YouTube video if the comments were getting to a worrying incorrect conclusion. A lot of the comments were demanding more from me or saying that I owed them an explanation. To be clear, I do not owe anyone anything. I could take down the post and the video, say it was a hack, and never post online again. I could delete all of my social media and disappear. No one is owed an explanation as to what triggered me so much that it caused me to have a mental breakdown and commit internet suicide. I am going to explain as much as I am comfortable explaining. The rest is none of the internet's business. As some people in the comments and replies speculated, this was the result of a bipolar episode and an act of self-harm/self-sabotage. The only person I meant to hurt was myself. It was vague and vindictive, but it made sense to me at the time. I didn't clarify until now because I wanted to be in a better headspace so I could explain everything clearly. I didn't want to continually make the situation worse by responding to everyone. I did update the description to clarify that the two people I mentioned were not MAPs or victims to de-escalate some panic I was seeing in the comments. In the morning, I realized that I should have never even mentioned them. And I am sorry to those two people for unintentionally misleading my viewers into thinking that you were my abusers or blackmailing me. I thought it would be clear what I was saying, but I now recognize that it very much was not. But to the people asking, are you a pedophile or were you victimized by a pedophile, and go on to say that if I'm a pedophile then I'm disgusting, but if I'm the victim then they offer their sympathy and support. My question to these people is, what if I'm both? A lot of pedophiles experience some form of XA. To say that I am a person deserving shame if I am a MAP and a person deserving sympathy if I was victimized by a MAP, well, it could be quite the contradiction. I've heard people say, well, if you were sexually assaulted as a child and now struggle with attraction to children, that's understandable and I feel bad for you, but otherwise that's just disgusting. I've seen people say pedophiles should explain exactly what did or did not happen to them as a child so they can know if they are morally in the right to continue supporting them. But that is terrible and invasive. I should not have to disclose any of my personal trauma to justify anything. And to say otherwise is fucked up. Again, I do not owe anyone anything. Anyone who wants to disclose their trauma, I respect you so much and offer you love and support. But I personally do not want to disclose anything. So, the main question. To all of the people saying, does this mean you're a pedophile? Please don't be a pedophile. I'm going to cry if you're a pedophile. I have good news. I am not a pedophile. Pedophilia refers to people who are primarily attracted to prepubescent children. I am neither attracted to prepubescent children or primarily attracted to children. I am primarily attracted to people who can lelouch from Code Geass in high school. Humor is my coping mechanism, let me have this. That is why I use the term MAP. No, MAP is not just a term made up by pedophiles to soften the word pedophile. It is a more inclusive term for anyone who is attracted to minors. It was created by Before You Act, a group of therapists, researchers, and yes, self-identified MAPs. Here is their mission statement for anyone interested. This is how they define MAPs. We use this term to refer to adults who experience feelings of preferential sexual attraction to children or adolescents under the age of consent, as well as adolescents who have such feelings for younger children. It is important to realize that these sexual feelings are usually accompanied by feelings of emotional attraction, similar to the romantic feelings most adults have for other adults. It is also vitally important to note that the presence of such feelings do not imply anything about behavior. Non-criminological researchers note that many minor attracted people live within the law. See our fact sheet. Such people are involved in the work of Before You Act, and more are known by people who work with Before You Act. I use the term MAP for me personally because I don't have a good label for myself otherwise. I don't want to get into exactly what I experience, but I do consider myself to be a minor attracted person. I am not exclusively attracted to minors, as stated before, which is why I don't call myself a pedophile or hebophile or a phebophile or infantophile. Some people are going to read this and say she's a pedophile, full stop, but that's fine. I know not everyone will understand. I posted the flag, as previously stated, as an act of self-harm. I did not post it with the intent of spreading the idea that MAPs belong in the LGBTQ+ community and that MAP rights mean the right to have sex with minors. I believe that LGBTQ+ MAPs belong in the LGBTQ+ community, but I do not personally believe that being a MAP is queer. I believe that anyone who is LGBTQ+ should be allowed in the community. But I do not believe that the end of MAP rights is the right to have sex with minors. That is why I personally dislike the practice of using flags. I much prefer our symbols. I like having our own thing because I do not want anyone to think that I am advocating for grooming and traumatizing minors when I say I am supportive of MAP rights. I posted the flag last night because it is the most recognizable way of saying that I am a MAP. That was my goal when I posted it. What are MAP rights then? Primarily, I believe that MAP rights should be the right of innocent until proven guilty. The majority of people who experience minor attraction have not offended, and the majority of XA is not committed by people who experience minor attraction. I will post links here with the awareness that most people won't read them or will dismiss them. I am completely against the practice of grooming and manipulating children into doing anything sexual with adults. I think it is easier for people to believe that there are normal people and then the big bad pedophiles hiding in the closet waiting to groom their children. They want to believe that it is something inherent. Because then they can separate themselves from it. They want to believe they are a good, moral person without any dirty, disgusting thoughts. This is the exact same way that gay people were treated in the past. People said that they were sexual degenerates who were going to groom their children. I still hear people say that all trans people are sexual predators or trying to manipulate the innocent children into mutilating their bodies. It is nothing but fear-mongering, and it is the same with MAPs. Yes, our end goal is different from the LGBTQ+ movement, but the goal of being seen as normal, moral people is the same. CSA is not the result of some group of monsters that society needs to cut off. It is the result of people abusing their power. And when people point fingers at anyone who admits to having sexual thoughts about minors and say that if we just villainize these people then we can save the children, you are only helping the real abusers. People who aren't MAPs are just as likely to commit SA as MAPs. If you want to protect children, we as a society have to move past this straw man of MAPs, recognize MAPs as being people who deserve help and understanding, and deconstruct the systems that protect abusers. Many MAPs, including child sexual abuse survivors and minors, are actively working to eradicate child sexual abuse both within the MAP community and the bulk of it which occurs outside it. Many people in the comments were accusing me of awful things simply because I posted this flag. They assumed that if I identify as a MAP I must have abused a child. This is a false assumption and a terrible thing to accuse someone of. I understand that most people's interactions with MAPs are with offending MAPs. This is because us non-offending MAPs are too scared of the social repercussions of coming forward. People have accused me of sexually assaulting my younger sisters because I posted this flag. My mom texted me in a panic this morning worried that I wouldn't be able to get a job because I posted this video. Yes, my mom knows. Most of the people in my life know. I took down the video because my mom asked me to, but I pinned a comment on my most recent video to keep everyone updated. The assault of negative comments on the video was not healthy for me to read when I was already in such a bad mental state. A lot of people were telling me to get help. I tried. That was the first thing I did. But, because we lack the presumption of innocence, telling a therapist about your thoughts about minors is incredibly dangerous. I have my own horror story with my therapist, and I have heard so many stories from other MAPs who also tried to get help. Because of the narrative that MAP equals child abuser, a narrative many people in my comments were perpetuating, people who struggle with these thoughts are unable to get help without risking their relationships, jobs, and sometimes even housing situation. I had a lot of privilege coming to my therapist as a white, a fab, female presenting person with paraphilic thoughts. And I still am terrified of what my therapist might do. She was a queer woman, but she treated me the same as the homophobic people in life did when I came out. I hate to imagine what would have happened to someone in my situation who was POC or a man or more noticeably neurodivergent. Because a lot of MAPs are neurodivergent. A lot of MAPs are POC. A lot of MAPs are men, but there's a lot of women too. And yes, a lot of MAPs are queer. Honestly, the way that my fellow MAPs were being treated in my comments really exposed how awful and ableist people can be. Because not everyone responds to trauma by getting sad. Some people get mad. I see my fellow MAPs passionately defending me on various platforms, and it hurts that very few people will read it and listen to their arguments because of their harsh tones and cruel language. Not all of them are talking this way, to be clear. So many of us are tired of being treated like monsters that when this sort of thing happens, we automatically lash out. I do not blame anyone who has defended me for being angry. I appreciate their support along with the support I have been given in private from other MAPs. When I was on the ledge because of the initial barrage of comments, it was other MAPs who convinced me that my life wasn't over and that I could make something good out of this. Some people in the comments and tags on Tumblr were saying that people should ignore the troll MAPs. Those aren't trolls. They are real people who feel strongly about this. And they aren't abusers. They are people. Some people were saying that they were just going to use the post as a method of finding people to block, and that is also not helpful, because it promotes the narrative that I explained above as harmful. If a MAP tells you that they are proudly a MAP, that does not mean they proudly groom children and watch CP. That means that they have been told over and over again that they are a monster and disgusting and should kill themselves, and they are tired of hiding, and they shouldn't have to hide. People shouldn't automatically assume that MAP means abuser. Because, again, that actively makes it harder for us to get help. And this constant incorrect assertion makes MAPs angry and bitter and become more likely to lash out at people who accuse us without understanding. And yes, I understand why this assumption is here. Because, yes, there are a lot of MAPs who are abusers. There are MAPs who say they are proud MAPs who groom children and watch CP. There are MAPs who advocate for the right to have sex with minors. But, as someone who has interacted with a lot of MAPs, this is not the case for everyone. A lot of us just want to live without fear. To the people telling me to get off the internet, yeah, noted. That's why I posted the flag. Since this started, I have been feeling very guilty about having a young audience while struggling with these thoughts. To be clear, I have never had sexual thoughts about my fans. I have never sexted or done anything inappropriate with a minor fan. But, even though I was not engaging my fandom in a sexual way, I had the fear that because of my thoughts, I should not be allowed to interact with minors at all. But this is not a healthy belief. I have control over my thoughts and my actions. I am not some werewolf who needs to lock myself away in a manic state because otherwise I'm going to lash out and attack a child. I have been manic and drunk and high with these thoughts, and I still have never attacked a child. Because I genuinely don't want to do that. Yes, my mania got the better of me last night, and I posted the flag. But that was something I had already been thinking about doing for a long time. I do not ruminate on thoughts of harming children. So even in altered states, I am not a danger to children. And to treat myself as if I am a danger to children will only make my own mental health worse. It's not a healthy way to live. That being said, since I am a MAP, it is my own personal decision to step away from making stories directed at teens. Again, this is just my own personal decision. I still support maps who stay on the internet or pursue careers that involve children because I give them the benefit of the doubt and do not assume that they will hurt those children. The map community is not about co-opting the LGBTQ+ movement. The map community is not about grooming children. The map community is not about convincing people that it's okay to assault children. Some maps are abusers, but the majority of us are not. The map community I have experienced is about acceptance. It's about learning to love yourself despite your worst impulses. It's about fighting against those dark thoughts and rising above them. It's about youth liberation and education and reforming our broken system. And a lot of these maps are people the same age as my fanbase. I'm talking 14-year-old maps, 15-year-old maps, 16-year-old maps, this is their body age, to be clear. Because most maps find out that they are attracted to minors at a young age. And in my experience, these younger maps are not groomed by the older maps. We just all have discussions together. And talk about cute anime characters. To address the two people I mentioned in the description. I said this before, but I should not have brought them up at all. As some people figured out, yes, they were my sibling and cousin. AKA my two ex-best friends. I told my sibling about my struggles with these thoughts, and they cut me out of their life. I asked them not to tell my cousin. I was under the delusion that all content creators were one bad day away from having these thoughts like me, and if I told her she would be stuck with them too. I now know that was just a delusion of mine. But my sibling told my cousin anyway. My cousin then also cut off contact with me. Ever since then, I have been irrationally paranoid that if I do anything they don't like, they will try to expose me as a pedophile. I have, had, a major fear of being cancelled. In manic states, this fear would turn into a delusion that people were after me with the intent of canceling me and ruining my life. In my most recent state, I irrationally believed that my sibling and cousin were plotting to expose me despite me not having talked to them in months and them making no indication of doing this. That is part of why I chose to expose myself first and why I mentioned them in the video. To be clear, they did not blackmail me or threaten to cancel me. That was just my own paranoia. And I am sorry to them for dragging them into this. A small note about the confusion over HBO Max. I wrote the initial Tumblr post as a way to say goodbye. I added the map flag to burn the bridge and destroy all hope I had of returning, self-harm, as previously mentioned. In the initial Tumblr post, I mentioned that the HBO Max thing solidified my decision to no longer pursue making cartoons. The only thing I meant by this was the situation with HBO Max removing several of their original cartoons from their streaming services with no warning to the creators and basically attempting to erase the shows from existence, taking down the videos, taking down the soundtrack, etc. I did not have a deal with HBO that fell through, and I was certainly not sexually assaulted by anyone at HBO. But the fact that HBO, a major streaming service, did this to their creators and their cartoons solidified my decision to no longer pursue the path of making cartoons. What career path will I be pursuing? Honestly, probably nothing. I don't really want to be famous anymore. I'll probably just get a nice job, get married, have kids, and not sexually assault them. OFC for anyone still worried. Although, I do very much enjoy writing twisted and problematic fiction. I've written a lot of paraphilic pieces that are just kinda laying around gathering dust right now. To be clear, paraphilic means anything sexual that is abnormal. It does not automatically mean pedophilic. Maybe I'll make the overseers into a cacophony of degeneracy. So the Aspian is a map, ambition is age fluid, and seventh is an endosystem. This is half a joke, but it actually fits all their characters really well, haha. This is what I want you all to see. I want you all to see someone like me, someone who people say is a terrible, awful monster, and I want you to not see a map. I want you to see a person. I am a minor attracted person. I use terms like map and body age and OA. But I'm not interested in watching CP or grooming kids. And if you think that all of this is evidence that I was secretly a terrible person the whole time, I found this comment that made me smile. Someone said something along the lines of, "I can't imagine the person who debated the ethics of putting murder in a story is a pedophile. Because you all know me. You've been with me through so much. You have always seen me as a person. All I'm asking is that you continue to see me as a person, not a disgusting monster because of thoughts that I can't control and do not act on. I know some of you will never forgive me for this. And I am truly sorry for losing control and freaking everyone out like this. This is still my goodbye. I won't be doing anything more with the overseers. I still appreciate everyone who supported me, even if they turned around and accused me of awful things. I'm not trying to say that I am the victim here. I don't think there are victims here. I am just trying to start a conversation about maps from a place of love and not anger. And to all of the maps who have supported me and will continue to defend me, I ask that you do your best to keep up this tone. Please do not call my fans bigots for being confused. I would love it if you all could help clear up the points I was foggier on. I obviously do not speak for all maps nor am the most educated person on the topic. But if someone is adamantly against me, well, I'm sure I don't have to tell you that sometimes you have to let it go. Thank you, everyone, for everything. Goodbye.